Hi everyone, this is Lisa Cronin from It's the Little Things in Card Making. I hope everyone's well, and in advance I'd like to thank you for spending your time with me. I'm going to reproduce this card. I made this card and I made it kind of reminiscent of a rainbow. And I was really inspired by a shopping trip that I took on Saturday. Being that I am a senior, so can't believe I'm there, but I am a senior. And with everything that's going on, our local supermarkets are open to seniors early morning hours, 6 a.m. And I do my shopping twice a week. And I am there at 10 to 6, waiting for the doors to open. On Saturday, after I finished my shopping, I had gone into the parking lot to load up my car, and I saw the most unbelievable sunrise. I mean, the pinks and oranges was so beautiful that I had a comment. I just said, everybody, look at that sky. And needless to say, some people looked at me like, okay, this one, let's stay away from her. But there was a very nice man that said, it's really important to take the time to smell the roses. And especially now. To bring that story a little further, I was in awe of this sky. The colors were beautiful, and after I packed up my car and got into my car, I turned on the radio, and the guy on the radio said, there's been a study, and people that can appreciate nature are happier people. And I couldn't believe that. Like, that came on when I was talking about how beautiful the sky was. And I just thought to myself, aha, that's a sign. That's a message. I have to talk about the colors in the sky, which brought me to, of course, rainbows. As I thought about doing a series, because I think that's what I'm going to do, I think I'm just going to jump on every now and then, and I am going to do something that has something to do with rainbows. And I think that rainbows can be kind of inspiring for us, not just as card makers, but as people. I looked up symbolism of rainbows, and the one thing that I saw over and over again was hope, that rainbows signify hope. There's lots of different religious and folklore and tribal kind of meanings for rainbows. But the one that keeps repeating throughout all of these different definitions and is hope. And I think that right now we need to be reminded that hope is something that is going to help us endure and even motivate us. Rainbows can do that. They did it for me. Well, the sky's colors did it for me. But also there's, and I believe it might be a Christian belief, that a rainbow is also a promise. So that being the case, I thought it would be kind of apropos to do a series of rainbows, different ways of making rainbows, different rainbow sentiments, just to encourage people to let's kind of not always look at the bad, but also there's good. I mean, there's good. We can find all the bad we want and spend the whole day looking for it, and we wouldn't have to work too hard to find it. It's harder finding the good. But I think that's where a lot of our energies should lie. This particular card is sending love wrapped in sunshine, tied with a rainbow. I know I have no sunshine, and I don't have the rainbow tied, but you kind of get the message. But the inside message is something that I thought was very powerful. Every day may not be good, but there's good in every day. Always look for the rainbows. So, it's what I tell my kids. It depends on what you want to look for, what you want to concentrate on, what you want to put your energies into. It could be for good or not. And I thought my whole family, including my children, are in service. And I thought that I would do a service, and this would be my public service, reminding about the hope and the promise of the rainbows and how we can endure some of the most difficult times in our life. Faith has a lot to do with that as well. And as I'm making the card, I'll tell you a story about how I was influenced by my mother-in-law, who's no longer here, who was a very faithful person, and how I remember something that she taught me a while back. In any event, you'll probably learn a little bit more about me in this video, and I don't know if it's because I've really been housebound for quite a while now, just getting over a cold. So if I'm a little sniffly, don't be alarmed. I know what it is. Also, my children. I have 2 children that work in New York City hospitals, and one works with immune deficient patients, and the other one works in the ER of a major hospital. I'm proud of both of them. To talk to them, they'll tell me they're so proud of being part of the team, that they feel like they're doing some good in the world. And my other son has been deployed now in the service. He's been deployed for 3.5 years, and he's currently under quarantine. Just traveled back to his base. And proud of my children, and proud to know that they're ready to step up. I'm going to cry. They're ready to step up and do what needs to be done. And they're looking at the good. I worry about them, of course. Not so worried about myself. My husband also works in healthcare. He's working from home now. And I want to just remind everybody that throughout most difficult times, you gotta hunt for that beauty. You gotta really look for that good. Nobody knows how long this is going to last. We're all getting a little kind of, we're all bugging out a bit about being home and all the restrictions that we have. We're not a society, especially in New York. We don't like to be told what we can't do. But thankfully, most people are understanding and smart enough to know, stay home. Don't spread this more. Pray for those that are infected, and for the family of those that have lost members. I pray that everyone stays well, and that we can share the gifts that we have, even just by sending a card and by encouraging each other to continue to craft and create and find the beauty that is life. And with that soapbox kind of speech, let's start with the card. Okay, so now this is a Gemini die that I'm using, and I'm also using the Impress Mini. It's Anna Griffith's die cutting machine. Now, I often find with the Gemini dies that you have to put them through, no matter what machine. You have to put them through a couple of times. It seems like their cutting edges are not as deep as some other dies. So what I did to save me a lot of time and aggravation is I already put this through my die cutting machine and took out all the little pieces and have my cut all ready to go. So now I can put this die on the side. Now this die does not have an edge. So it cuts out of the paper, which is a good and bad thing. You can make any kind of a border that you want. However, if you don't, then you have to create a frame, which I did in this card. I made a frame. The backing on this die cut is going to be one of my backgrounds. And it's a little smaller. I don't know if you can tell. It's a little smaller than the die cut. But that's okay because the frame, you know I love my frames, the frame is going to hide that. So when it goes around, it's gonna hide the fact that this rainbow is really not big enough for this card. This is going to be an A2 size card. This is an A2 size cut. And now I'm going to make an A2 size frame. And this is the, as I said, Anna Griffith Empress Mini. And the way that I usually do it is, missing a plate. Okay, I'll put my die face up. And it's a tight squeeze. I'll put my A2 size card front in there because I want it to fit perfectly. And then I am going to tape it in place. Now I'm going to take my magnetic mat and my other plate, put it on top, turn on my machine, and run it through. And that should give us the frame that we need. And there we go. So there's a tiny, tiny little hole. I'm going to take my toothpick again. And I'm just going to slip it out. And put this to the side for now with the cut and with the rainbow backing. I'm going to take another die. What I want to do is I want to create this die here. Well, I should tell you, these are great dies, by the way. This is called Pointed Rectangle Frames. And these are from Birch Press? No. Poppy Stamps. Poppy Stamps. So what I'm going to do is pretty much the same thing. I don't have to tape it because it's not as big. Just going to put my cardstock, and I'm using 65-pound Unisolite. Put it through the machine. And now I have my other frame. So I don't need to do any more die cutting, so I'm going to put this to the side. I have an A2 size card base somewhere. There you go. And what I want to do is, I think I'm going to do the inside of the card first. I'm going to stamp it because I don't want to get everything all ready, put the card together, stamp the inside. But actually, maybe I will, because I'm going to insert another A2 size piece of paper to go inside. So let's start putting this together. What I want to do is I want to make sure that, and I don't know if you can see it, so I'm going to get a piece of paper. And you can see it maybe a little better if I use black. Okay. Okay, so you could see here, if I butt this side up, right up against this edge of the rainbow, you can see that I have all of this showing. That's where this is going to come in. This is going to hide that. So it doesn't really matter that it doesn't go all the way. And that's one of the reasons why I also love frames, because it hides things. What I'm also going to do is, when I lay this down, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue onto the design. I'm not going to do the edges, because what's going to happen is my frame is going to pretty much... Okay, not that one. Now this one is a good one. Let's try it again. My frame is pretty much going to sandwich this piece in. And I'm just going around to the biggest pieces and lay just a dot of glue down. And that would be enough to hold it in place. I don't care if the tops are loose. I kind of like that, actually. So now I'm going to take this. I'm going to decide, where do I want it? Do I want the yellow up there or more green yellow? I think I'm going to do green yellow. And I'm going to center it as best I can. So here, I'm going to frame. I wanted that orange. I thought that orange and pink. This is exactly what the sky looked like. That orange and that pink. It was Saturday morning. If anybody was up early Saturday morning, it was a beautiful, beautiful sunrise. And, you know, truthfully, before this, I would never think about getting up at 6 in the morning, let alone go shopping. So I guess I missed some beautiful sunrises. So now what I want to do is I want to kind of put my my frame around here. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it with... I'm going to take the tape off, because that could impede the gluing of this. And I'm going to use some score tape to mount this onto my card base eventually. But for now, this is all I need. And it will stay put well enough. So, okay. Okay, now there is a bit of a design that we have to make sure we get even. And I think I'm going to move this so that this is pretty even here. And I'm looking at my sides, and that's what I'm kind of judging whether or not it's straight. And to me, it looks straight enough. So I'm just going to hold that down for a second. So now I was going to tell you about my story, my mother-in-law. It was on 9/11, and my sister-in-law worked in one of the towers, and I called my mother-in-law to see if, you know, I waited a little bit, and I called my mother-in-law to see if, in fact, she had heard from my sister-in-law, her daughter. And she said to me, "No, I haven't. Why are you asking?" And I said, "Well, Mom, I don't know if you heard, but, you know, there was an attack, and just kind of worried about Ellen." I didn't want to get into the details of it because I wasn't sure exactly how much she knew. Well, little did I know. She knew more than me. Anyway, she was, insisting that no, my sister-in-law no longer worked in the buildings and that she was in Midtown. I knew this to be a falsehood. My sister-in-law, definitely. Just checking to make sure it's good. So far, so good. So I called my other sister-in-law, who lives in Jersey, and I said, is Mom under the assumption that, Ellen doesn't work in the buildings? And she said, well, actually, now Mom knows, but she didn't want to say anything to you because she didn't want you to worry. Like, seriously? She was making believe that Ellen no longer worked there so that I wouldn't worry. Okay, I'm going to use some Versamark on this stamp here. And this is Penny Black. And I couldn't believe that she, I wanted to be a source of comfort for her. But here she was comforting me. So I called her back. And I said, look, Mom, you don't have to try and protect me. I'm going to pray for her. Please, as soon as you hear anything, please call me. And, let me know how she's doing, what's going on. And my mother-in-law said, Lisa, don't worry. If I know Ellen, she is helping others. She's helping others. I thought to myself, oh my gosh, Mom, the severity of what happened, I thought she just was not, she was just not looking at things realistically. And I became concerned, not just for my sister-in-law, but for my mother-in-law as well. Well, it turns out that we finally, thank God, heard from Ellen, and it was around 1:30 in the afternoon, and she called my mother-in-law to say that she was okay, and that she was finding a way home. And when my mother-in-law asked what she was doing, she said, what do you think, Mom? I'm helping people. People need help. You could have blown me away with the faith that my mother-in-law had, not just in her children, but in God. And being service to others, it taught me, and I pray that I can have that same faith with my children, and I'm really exercising that now. My mother-in-law was a very faithful woman, and I was blessed to know her and to learn from her. And I wanted to tell this story because this is another point in time where there's such uncertainty, and we've, now we've been rocked with something else that's scary and uncertain and troubling and worrisome and fearful as it was back then. I want to say thank God a lot of the younger children don't remember, like teenagers, and not even teenagers, but those in their middle 20s, they don't remember very much. And I think that's a blessing. I feel sorry for them now. Let me just heat this up. I'm gonna let it get nice and hot. Double checking. It looks good. I'm going to put it to the side. I have my other one all ready to go. This is my larger Misty. I have everything all ready. I am going to ink it up with my Versamark. And this is what I am going to insert into the card. I decided I didn't want to do this on the inside of the card base in case it warped from using the heat tool. So I thought this was probably better. And I'm just looking to see if I have everything transferred. Yeah, I think it looks good. So I'm going to peel this up. To the side. Get my my handy dandy little tray here. So yeah, the children. The children. It's a scary time for them. More so than I think for any of us. They've never experienced anything like this before. Just glad that so many people are able to stay home with their children. And maybe get to know each other a little better. I know with my husband being home, we're knowing each other a little better after being together for a long time. Sometimes you can live in the same house and just forget, you know. You just forget. But I just want to say that I am very pleased that he's doing well. Just cleaning it up a little bit. Okay, now I am going to heat set this. So these cards actually are going to a couple of friends who have some compromising medical issues, and I just thought, let me send them something, put a smile on their face a little bit. Put a smile on their face a little bit. Now I want this. I want this. So this is going to go in here. And I think I'm going to put that in right now. I'm hoping it's straight. I didn't even check. But needless to say, you know, everybody needs to know they're remembered. And I want to thank God we still have postal service. I have a great postman. I saw him yesterday. He said he's doing fine. His mom is doing fine. And so many things to be grateful for. Very happy to say that everyone, all my neighbors are doing well. And hoping that things will continue to, you know, improve, and that we will see the end of this soon. So there was a little warping there. So I'm kind of glad that I did it this way versus putting the embossing right on the base. So that's good. Now what I want to do is I want to take this. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to use some score tape. And I think that will hold on to, that will help it hold on better. Including the part that's sandwiched between the front and the frame. So that will just help it stay stable better. And I don't think I have told you all how much I've missed you, or actually I've missed doing this. Got very busy. Things, the holidays. My son was home for a month, and you know, it's just been kind of one thing after another. But I intend to stay in my craft room a little bit each day and put a video out that hopefully will be encouraging and inspirational. And I won't go back on my soapbox again. But, you know, just to let people know that, you know, we're all in this together and we need to support each other as much as possible. As much as possible. Because that's what people do, or should do. Always look for the help, as my mother-in-law said. always look for the helpers. And she's right. No matter how bad things ever get, there's going to always be helpers. Alright, the best way to do this, I think, is I'm going to put it in the corner, put it in the other corner, check the other side, that's good. Fold it down, and then take the tape off. You know, the funniest thing is, as long as I've done cards, I can never really get it on straight. I have to do this little tag thing with the tape, and it's not perfectly straight, but it's good enough. Now what I want to do is I want to take my frame and I want to center it. And what I'm going to do first is I can put a little glue on the back of the frame. And going quickly here because I know I've been on for a while. Okay. And then center it as best I can. And I'm going to say that, and bring this side up a little bit. Let's say, I think that's straight enough. What do you think? Then all I'm going to do is cut around it. Try not to cut into the frame. And right down here I have to trim a little bit off. I'm going to pretty much do the same thing that I did with the card front. Just going to, I'm not going to put any bells and whistles, no glitter or anything like that. I really want the rainbow to stand out, and I want the rainbow and the sentiment to be the main visual on this card, because that was my intent. Okay. Now I'm going to try to line up my corners so that it doesn't look wonky. I think that looks good. Okay. Let's fix those things there. Okay. So there we go. Sending you love, wrapped in sunshine, tied with a rainbow. Every day may not be good, but there is good in every day. Always look for the rainbows. I guess that's a little preachy, but at the same time, put a little extra glue there. At the same time, I think it's important to show support. And if someone is worried or frightened or going through a hard time right now because of all of this, I want them to know there's always a light. There's always